And we are on the air.
We are on the air. Hi, it's Suzie.
And Matt.
And with special guest, Nick. Yes, Nick is here.
Yep. It's me.
Nick is our teenage son.
Yes.
And he's on summer break, so he's joining us today. Don't know if he's going to join in on the conversation or not, but he is here, coffee cup full of water in hand. Yep. So he's
an intern.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm
going to go intern.
Exactly. You're an intern because exploitation begins at home.
Yes.
Rules of acquisition.
Okay, thank you for ringing, Matt.
All right. So today we're going to talk about the WhiteCollar Ax.
Okay, tell us about the WhiteCollar Ax and what you learned this morning about Tesla.
Well, it's.
Oh, we should probably introduce ourselves.
Oh,
this is Suzilla.
Yeah, this is Suzilla. We're here in Wenatchee, Washington, from the Suzie Health Solutions, the Enrollment Center.
Yes.
This is our episode 99.
So that's where we're at. So we're talking about the
WhiteCollar
Ax. Who was it that said this was a...
Michael Burry.
Michael Burry. B-U-R-R-Y? B-U-R-R-Y?
B-U-R-R-Y.
B-U-R-R-Y. Michael Burry. He's watched trends for a long time.
He has. I threw out the name and it's like, I recognize it. And he was on The Big Short.
There's a movie made called The Big Short, which is about the 2008 real estate crash that threw us into a recession.
Correct. And he was one of the guys that predicted it was happening, and he was shorting it. And that was against the trends, against all the popular theories. He looked at it, just the raw numbers, like, okay, this doesn't make sense. Let's go with the sense take of it and start shorting this. And it paid off. It
paid off for him. And anyone who listened to him, but not everyone listened to him.
No, there was a lot of people that didn't listen to him until it was too late. And this is one of those moments that we've been kind of working with for a while, with the great resignation. We've been talking about it for, I think we've done about 3 or 4 different episodes.
Yeah, the great resignation has been a big deal.
It is a really massive deal. And I think this is kind of an extension of that.
Could be, yeah. Could be a lot of things. Okay, but what did Michael Burry say and what triggered this?
Well, he triggered it. He was looking at Elon Musk, who turned around and said he's going to fire 10% of his employees.
Okay, and did he say which employees he's going to fire?
From the looks of it, it's going to be the white-collar guys, the office workers.
Your middle management folk.
Yeah.
Now, here's a question for you. You've got your middle management manager dudes, but you also have the secretaries, and you have the mailroom guys, and you have the accountants. Is them too?
Yeah, it's going to be the structure.
Okay, so they're gonna gut the center of.
Well, they're not going to gut the center. It's business is changing.
Well, yeah, of course it is. Changes every day.
And some of the change that business is occurring is automation.
Okay, like what we've been doing.
Like what we're doing. We actually got a class at 9:00 to further work on automation, because we're not a huge office, but we work with a lot of people. And there's 2 ways to do it. One is, hey, hire some people and do it. B is add some automation.
So do you think that maybe Tesla said, after COVID, you guys were working at home and we kind of looked at some new opportunities to maybe, trim things up a little bit and cut the fat, as it were?
It's hard to say, because he's done some really amoral decision-making when it comes to COVID.
Musk or Burry?
Musk.
Yes, he has.
And one of the things was, he said, okay, hey, if you don't want to come in after working remotely, you don't have a job.
Maybe that's his 10%.
So it's one of those things. It's the environment, and we know from talking with other companies that they're looking at shutting down the campuses and having more remote workers.
It saves them in a lot of different ways.
Well, it does save overhead. However, it does create the situation, because you don't have that cultural environment. It's easy to fire people.
Yes, people are not
I think a bit of it's like fear tactics as well, because I know like Elon Musk is very much against like union workers.
Uh-huh.
So like if you can show off that you can just fire 10% of your people and not care, it creates a lot of fear against unionizing against them.
Yeah, it's kind of a whole fifth element. It's like, you got to fire 500,000 taxis, it's like making $1 million.
Yeah.
It's that detached evil head.
Yeah, the detached evil. Okay, Elon Musk is a detached evil head, just generally. He's not necessarily the one making this decision.
Well, no, he's projecting it.
He's very much in support of it.
He's very
yes, but it didn't come from him. It came from the board, almost certainly.
Hard to say where it comes from, because he's done some steps to walk back the statement, saying, "Oh no, it's only going to be 5.3%, and it's the people who don't want to come back." He has done.
So I was right when I suggested it was the folks who didn't want to come back to campus.
Yeah, and Nick was right with some of the threats.
Mm-hmm.
And we're seeing more and more of that because of the split. And you're like, oh my! You were like, oh my gosh, this is an attack on the middle class.
Yeah.
And that attack has been going on forever.
Yes, and it's just another move in that. I still think it's a move in that particular direction.
Could be. It's one, and I really like the implied threat of the chairman,
Mm-hmm.
because that really kind of shows on, it's not the boss, the friendly, hey, everyone's my family, hey, we're building this greater thing together.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, come on board. It's no, I'm in charge. I'm going to fire you guys if you act up.
Well, yeah, that's the way a lot of corporations are these days. They don't do the join the team. They may say join the team, be part of the group, and we'll have this family relationship, but that's not what's actually happening.
Well, yeah, your actions have to follow words.
Well, that's yes, but they don't.
They don't. But if you want to have a truly, great work environment,
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're talking about. We're talking about having a great work environment.
Mm-hmm.
Your words have to line up with actions.
Yes. Otherwise, people aren't going to want to work for you, hence the resignation.
And, one of the things I saw really fascinating that came out was the ability to have an abortion is now becoming a corporate perk.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. Go on.
No.
If you got something to say, just throw in.
Yeah, this is one of those throwdowns, because we're working on one of the other things we've been working on this week has been team environments.
Yeah,
which is very, very important for this conversation,
mm-hmm.
because you're looking at eliminating players of a team.
Yes,
a large portion. You're saying, hey, this portion's not valuable. They're not valuable in the decision making. They're not valuable in making a profit.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, we're going to eliminate them.
Right. And back to Nick's scare tactics thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's when John Taffer walks into a bar and fires the first person who lips off to him.
Yeah.
It's prison yard tactics.
Yeah.
Go in and beat down the first big guy you see.
Yeah, the first one that's out of line.
Yeah, it's prison yard tactics.
Mm-hmm. And that's not necessarily a great way to set up yourself as a leader.
No, it's really not.
Because from that, it's like, yeah, you will have the formal title,
but you won't have respect.
You will never be able to garner leadership.
No, you'll have fear, but you won't have respect.
Well, no, what will happen is you will have the title,
mm-hmm.
and leaders will end up rising up through the ranks.
Yes, and somebody will eventually rise up again as a opponent to you.
Well, it's not necessarily as an opponent. They'll operate as a foil.
Okay.
And they'll subvert your authority.
Okay, that's what
they will spin off into other projects.
Kind of what I was saying, just you're using
mm-hmm.
different phrasing.
And then they're just getting fired. That's usually what happens.
It depends.
Yeah.
It depends, because if a leader will not relinquish that control of being fired, they'll leave on their own terms.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they'll take being fired as to get the benefits, to fund another thing. It's strategic.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's what.
But you don't always get fired from that.
No,
you don't. Sometimes the other guy does.
Well, some of the things you'll see is you will get reduction in pay.
Okay.
And if you're living paycheck to paycheck, a reduction to pay is particularly nasty.
It can be devastating, yeah. Well, a good example I can have of that is, grocery stores used to be, and this is, when I first started in retail,
Mm-hmm.
in grocery pharmacy, the store managers, middle management dudes, would get annual bonuses.
Mm-hmm.
And those bonuses often were close to their annual salary.
Okay.
It was a big, fat bonus.
That's a big deal.
It was a big deal. It made a huge difference in their lives. I mean, their houses were bought based on those. And what started to happen is they started making it impossible to meet the bonus metrics.
Yeah.
So they weren't getting these bonuses. They didn't just say, oh, we're not going to offer bonuses this year, or we're reducing the bonuses. They made you work your tushy off and not get the bonuses, which is the same deal, but a sneakier, meaner way to do it.
We've seen that in multiple. I've seen that in multiple industries. Personally, I saw it in Treetop when I was in production. They would set production goals to such a point that it was nearly impossible. You had to make impossible size runs to do it, and be dependent on fruit coming in and not shifting production to another plant. Then another one we've seen, and this is a classic, was sales production.
Yes.
Our industry, insurance, is when you get to the agent level, the independent owners. Some companies like to throw down sales bonuses.
Yes.
Because it's a good way to throw the carrot down, and then you start seeing some really crazy numbers to hit sales numbers. You'll have tiers.
Oh yeah.
And I've seen some that have done the finesse. For instance, one of the big things to do is you take the Q1 and then throw a multiplier on it.
Oh yeah.
So if you're doing an outrageous number of business in January, February, March, you will never get your summer bonuses. No.
So people started either sandbagging and doing a little more evenly, which is not necessarily good for the consumer.
No, it's bad for the consumer.
It is, yes. Or they just meet.
Alexa, mute.
My opinion is, don't fight for the bonus. If it comes, great. If it does, that's fine too.
Yeah, and we've had that attitude for a couple of years, because there's been times, for instance, that we've been completely flat-footed and achieved a bonus.
Yeah. Oh, look, extra money.
A good example is we've had a company that we've had for years.
Yeah, we've been contracted with them for a long time.
And one of the things that they did was, a new business.
Yeah, new business bonus.
And they treat new business as new, first time to ever touch them.
Right. So if a person had been contracted with them a couple of years ago, went to a different company and came back, that's not considered a new business.
Correct. And that's a really, you can roll people over and you won't get a bonus. You have to find absolutely virgin customers to them. And, having an established company do that, it's nearly impossible.
Exactly.
And we've hit those.
We had a bonus, which I did not expect. Not unhappy about it. It was a nice little perk, but it's like, but I also wasn't building my projections based on that potential bonus.
No, we
you were at a meeting with those guys last fall,
Mm-hmm. and
they were just reaming out the agents for not bringing in that new business.
Yeah, it was weird. I was in it was a kind of a agent pool of the top agents for the state, and they were the executives of the company were saying, hey, all your numbers are down. What's going on? We put out a good product, and I was looking at my left and right, and I'm like, and I had to raise my hand. I was like, my numbers are up.
Mm-hmm.
We pretty much doubled our business.
Mm-hmm.
So I was the one jerk in the room.
You were the jerk in the room. It was very entertaining at the moment.
And it's really important to look at it, because for the last 20 or so years,
mm-hmm.
we've seen kind of this weird dichotomy between insurance companies and agents.
Uh-huh.
Because we are a white-collar position.
We are. You wouldn't know it by looking at us, but we are.
Oh yeah, because we're t-shirts and shorts and flip-flops. Because we dress like our customers do.
Yeah, we want everyone to be comfortable in our office.
But there's a strange back and forth between insurance companies, the upper management,
mm-hmm.
and agents.
Yeah, they just do not get us.
Well, it goes beyond that, because, like the Office of Insurance Commissioner, for example, they will not side on the agent side. They'll say, "Oh, hey, you're an independent contractor. You're on your own."
Yeah,
and they will cut us to the wolves.
It's a contract issue. You need to speak to a lawyer.
If you deal with an exchange the same way, they will side with the companies and say, "Hey, that's a contract issue. You got to go." So there's no real clear support for the agents. This includes the associations.
Oh yeah. So what we're saying here, so you're saying there's not a lot of support for your middle class white collar worker.
Yeah, and that's across the board. It's a very precarious position.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen companies be very underhanded with people
mm-hmm.
at our level.
So what can be done to stop this erosion of the middle class and stop for the precariousness of this position? I mean, you could work your way up to CEO. I mean, that's really incredibly rare. You could go back down to a blue collar level job, but you're not going to make the wages you feel like you need.
You won't. Anytime you make a shift, you're going to drop.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really important. If we took and shut down Suzie Health Solutions now,
mm-hmm.
and did a full pivot over to property,
yes,
we'd lose money.
Oh yeah, we would, because we don't have an established book for property yet.
Correct. So it will sound like that. How you market yourself,
yeah,
and what people are looking at have changed.
Oh, people are expecting health insurance out of Suzie Health Solutions.
It's in the name.
Well, yeah, that too. People look at me personally and expect health insurance out of me.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that
why we branded it Suzie.
That's why we branded it Suzie, and that's why we've because we see that marketplace is kind of in the danger zone.
Mm-hmm.
We need to adopt a strategy that is very, very similar to the corporations. We need multiple revenue streams,
right?
As a household,
yes.
So we're gonna have Suzie Health Solutions and keep it going, and then we're gonna add property.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna add another business. And get that going, so that's going strong. And then if we got two things going, possibly add a third.
Mm-hmm.
That way, if the rug gets pulled out from one side,
right,
we've got another.
We're not just on a one-legged stool; we'll be on a three-legged stool,
or
a four-legged.
And I think some of that's been lost.
Could be. be.
And everyone's like, they're putting all their eggs in one basket
Mm-hmm.
and saying, oh, hey, this career is awesome. I'll pay off all my student loans.
Mm-hmm.
I will give everything to this company and I will work here forever.
That used to be the standard, though. It was.
Yeah.
That is the golden egg that we were promised in the 50s.
We were being promised that all the way up through the 80s.
Yeah, exactly. But it doesn't exist anymore. It's still a pipe dream in a lot of people's heads, but you're never going to find a company that's going to do that for you anymore.
Yeah.
It's mainly because unions have lost their power because corporations have found a way through them. Yeah, I feel that as like the main crux of all this is essentially just unions have lost their power, so we're going back to a golden age America.
I'd say gilded age.
Gilded age America, where corporations just take advantage of the worker.
Well, see, the white collar worker has never been protected.
Oh yeah,
has never. So that's why we're like kind of the first on the chopping block. Yeah. I remember working with Banta. I can talk about Banta because they're no longer in existence.
Yep.
They were bought out by R.R. Donnelly. One of the things was the branch vice president told me that as a project manager, you're the last one to go. He told me that on the way in. Mm-hmm. You're the last one to go because A, you know how to do the job. B, I can hire people and you can tell them how to do the job.
Mm-hmm.
Salesforce is gone. HR, we ran without HR for years.
Oh, yeah.
Receiving leads would come and go.
Mm-hmm.
But the actual project management
stayed put.
Stayed put.
I was told when it was a 2008, during the 2008 crash, I had a district manager tell me, and he was right, the closer you are to a register, the safer you are.
Mm-hmm.
It was the middle people that were getting, that they started to cut the middle, we're on the edge of another recession, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That just kind of is like, that is exactly the same situation we're discussing here.
Yeah.
The closer you are to a cash register, the safer you are.
Mm-hmm. And we're older, so we're longer in the tooth. We're more expendable.
Mm-hmm.
They think that we're less flexible.
A lot of folks are.
We're kind
you
of.
and I we're weird.
Yeah, and
but we also own our own business, so it's it's a different impact.
There's vulnerabilities.
Of course there are.
The fact that one of our partners comes in every year and says, "Hey, are you going to be doing this next year?"
He's done that since day one.
He's done this since day one.
Despite the fact we've brought him hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years.
Yes. It's because of the eggshells, because of legislation.
Yeah. And it's because health insurance is so annoyingly tied to politics. It's annoyingly tied.
Well, you've got the politics. And you've got the companies.
Oh yeah, they're fighting tooth and nail.
And you've got some of the myths that drive consumers, and we've seen those myths. Mm-hmm. Because one of the things we get is the difference between brokers and navigators.
Yes.
Because every so often I'll run into someone that's like, "Are you a navigator?" No, I'm a broker. I can not only explain all the policies, I can recommend policies.
I'm trained to recommend them, whereas a navigator can't. They're not licensed or trained to.
Correct. They can't officially do it.
They can't.
And I use the words very specific, officially,
because they're humans. They do.
Humans do human things, particularly when they feel their job is on the line. And again, that's another example of a white collar worker.
That's true. It's a low tier white collar worker, but it's still a white collar worker.
Correct, because they get paid on an hourly basis.
Mm-hmm.
From my experience, usually it's a woman.
Yes.
Healthcare is really driven by women.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is in certain areas in certain levels you do start to see a man, but mostly under that level it's women. Are we getting a FedEx package?
They're pulling in, so it's hard to say.
Okay.
So what happens is when you see health insurance, yes, it's very common at the agent or production level for health insurance to be women dominated.
Oh yeah, women in cardigans. We pointed that out a long time ago.
Yeah, and then when you bump up to a group health policy, or you jump up to the, running the companies, running programs, you see guys.
The guys in the shark skin suits.
And
well, okay, the group policy guys, they're the ones that used to be car salesmen.
Hard to say.
Sometimes. It's a lot of the same mindset.
It's very similar mindset, but a lot of them have degrees.
Yes, and so do more than one car dealership, car salesman. Yeah, either way, but it's a similar mindset.
So let's get into some of the survival, because I think we touched upon that. I touched upon it yesterday. Michael McCormick.
Oh yeah.
One of the things is enabling other people's dreams. Is enabling other people's dreams, and you get that from group interaction. And social media is one of the ways that people do a lot of play. If you pay attention to Facebook and you pay attention to a business owner, they'll put out a lot of posts, and occasionally they'll put out a business post.
Yeah.
And that business post is, if you're ever playing, you don't point out, oh, hey, that's great marketing.
No. Because
that takes the consumer out of the mindset of, hey, I need to purchase something from this person.
It's the willing suspension of disbelief concept in a movie. It takes you out of it.
Yeah. It just becomes kind of it.
Oh, this is just an ad.
Yeah, it becomes you're destroying the person's dream, and it's really their dream, because that's when you become self-employed. It's your dream to have that success, to have it, and there's so you could steal it, oh, that's great marketing, steal it. Don't announce it ever.
If you want to mention it, go in through the DMs. Say, hey, I really like this. I'm going to steal it from you. But don't do it on the post. Go through the DMs.
You do it on the DMs. Change it, make it your own. If you say, if you want to hit the matrix and give them a boost, oh, hey, great post. Interact with it in a positive manner. The interaction in a positive manner on social media also plays out in real media, in real life.
Okay.
And this is something I've seen and commented on. It's very important to acknowledge other people's businesses and interests. This is like Dale Carnegie stuff.
No, I'm hearing you.
It is in Alexa, mute. It is important to if someone's running a business, to pitch them a bone, mention them in public, direct people to them. Hey, you know what? This is Amy. She runs this great T-shirt shop. You should get some T-shirts from her. It's very important to acknowledge other people's dreams. Right now, I see a lot of people that are behaving in two ways in public.
Okay.
One, they're behaving hostile.
Okay.
Oh, you're horrible. Don't want to do it.
Okay.
The second is they're being coolers.
Okay, so we've got the hostile is there's not. Is it like your Karen concept, or is
there's some Karens? There's some Karens. It's like one of the things we mentioned is the worst shift of work in any restaurant is the one after church.
Yeah, we discussed that last week. Okay, so you've got the hostile environment, the hostile people, and the people who are just the people who are the coolers, those who are trying to keep things on civil base.
No, it's not. Cooler is another. There are two different ways. One is hostile.
Yeah. You said hostile and cooler.
No, these are the two negatives.
Oh,
I haven't talked any positive here.
Okay, sorry. I was thinking they were. Okay, go on.
Okay, a cooler. You bring in a cooler to stop sales.
Oh, okay.
You will. I actually had to do I did a cooler with the backpack, which we're going to announce later on. I just simply stopped promoting it. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, hey, I've done enough. I don't want to, force a drive. I've asked people to do it. No, if someone doesn't want to respond, woohoo, that's on them. Mm-hmm. They're acting as coolers. Mm-hmm. They're not hostile. They're just not promoting.
Okay.
And that's fine. What you need to surround yourself are people that are exciting, mm-hmm. that do promote.
Yeah.
And that's what people, and even if you're in that white collar job, if you got people that are doing that excitement and mm-hmm. promote, those are the ones you want to covet and bring in close right now.
Now, that's true. Absolutely true. One thing that I think might be a possibility is your coolers maybe not realizing that they're cooling. Maybe they're just uneducated about the concept and need to be brought to the excitement side.
Yeah, ignorance is not an excuse. It's not an excuse. It's being a good friend.
Okay.
And that's really what it is to play these games, because these are games. These are old school. Are you being a good friend?
There you go.
Does it boil down to, and that's where we should leave it.
Be a good friend.
Be a good friend. If someone's doing something, be excited. Promote them.
It's a good place.
And hey, have a great week. Next week will be our 100th. I don't know what we'll do.
Maybe we'll throw a little party.
Okay,
bye, y'all.
All right, bye.